Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Battalion Wars. In this shorter than usual episode, for which I apologise, we're going to be tackling the final mission of the June Sea, and we are going to be piloting bombers for the first time, so I'm very excited for that. Are you? I hope so, because we're about to find out what it's like.
The enemy's primary neurosite extraction facility is just north of our position, Commander. Before we attack, we're gonna have to neutralize their anti-air defenses. You will then receive clearance to deploy a frontier bomber and precision strike those extraction towers. Remember, you need to take out the enemy's anti-air defenses before we can
Okay, so here we go. We got our troops. We've got ourselves some mortar veterans for the first time. These guys are fun, and I will be showing them off in due course. First things first, we're going to go in hard on this base and start taking out their defenses. The attack on this recon is painfully weak, I'm afraid, so this will not be able to get through the tank, but the gunship should be able to do a decent job against it. I am, meanwhile, going to focus on some of their infantry that are going around. And down goes the heavy tank. So, we've got a couple of ways we can go now. I'm going to head over here and just make sure we've mopped up the last of our enemies, and it's a good chance to show off the mortar veterans.
fire grenades up and over obstacles. Use them to flush enemy infantry out of cover.
These are more grenade troops than they are mortar troops, because they don't really fire up in the air, they sort of just fire at enemies. But they're very good against enemies who are in cover, so they are worthwhile to invest in learning how to use. They've got the same charge attack as the assault veterans and the others, but they're a little bit harder to use at close range because they do miss quite easily. You have to land a quite direct hit in order to get any damage, as you'll see. So, those guys down, let's push on to our first objective. I might go over to a gunship for a sort of aerial view. Plus I can sort of start taking out some of those defences before... Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, there are anti-aircraft troops there. Be a bit careful. Okay, so searchlights down. That's the first of the objectives destroyed.
One down, 4 to go.
And their anti-aircraft troops haven't managed to do much damage to me, which is nice. So, there are a couple of ways to play with anti-aircraft stuff. You can either go in using your ground troops, or you can play really aggressively from the air. I've managed to fail to do both, which is not the best outcome. But I think I'm going to deploy my mortar troops to deal with them. Oh, looks like I'm about to lose a gunship. Yep, there it goes. Right, well, I've been deployed as a grunt, which I find a frank insult. So mortar troops can do a bit of damage to tanks. They're not brilliant at it, but they will damage the enemy a little bit, and my gunship seems to be doing the rest of the work on our behalf. Where they really excel is against enemies who are in cover like this. Okay, so here come the tanks again. Gotta try and concentrate our explosives on them. But everyone firing at once should be able to take it down. Now, we said battalion, which implies there's more than one coming, but we haven't managed to run into it yet, so I think we're safe for the moment. I'm going to go over to my other gunship and try not to lose that to anti-aircraft fire this time. It's running a little bit precariously on the old health front, so might want to stay a little bit out of range of their infantry. There's tents over here, which I might destroy for the sake of seeing if there's health inside them. Okay, I've managed to destroy my gunship by crashing it into the ground. Okay, lesson learned. Over to the assault troops. This does at least make this easier in terms of taking out the anti-aircraft infantry. Plus, these searchlights are very easy to take out from long range with the assault troops. One more anti-aircraft guy there. And he's out.
3 down, only 2 remaining.
So, doing some very long range sniping to bait this guy over the bridge, and we'll just wait for him to cross and just completely annihilate him with lots of concentrated fire. The best way to do combat, I find. Plus there's heavy tanks up there who we can hit from this range, so we'll start getting down some assault gun fire on them. Making a decent dent in its armour before the first shells come in. Need to be a bit careful on the bridge though, because our infantry are a bit squishy. Open fire, lads. So by strafing we can again draw the main gun's fire and let our other guys finish the tank off. And the penultimate encampment we need to destroy is up here, so that'll be a relatively easy walk in the park, because it's only rifle troops and anti-aircraft guys. Plus these searchlights. See if we can spawn some health for the recon, just in case it needs it. Not that it's a particularly valuable combat asset, but if we need to get around at high speed, it might be kind of useful. Last emplacement looks like it's over here, and then it'll be fun bomber time. Begin Ramboing this shit up in here. There we go, so we've got 2 bombers. I have a feeling this is going to get pretty easy after this point, so that's quite encouraging. And we'll demonstrate that here with our first attack on our first tower. So didn't quite take it out on the first try, but we should make it this time. And down it goes. Okay, so there's going to be fighters on the way. That's not great, to be honest.
Not so, Brigadier. Tandra's finest pilots will protect you until your mission is complete.
Dark Gordon? I thought you were in exile.
So we got a bit of a fun dogfight going on here, except I'm not doing the dogfighting. It's the Tundrans trying to defend me, and not doing a great job of it, if I'm honest. We have a bit of defense on this bomber in terms of a machine gun mounted on the belly, which is okay against ground troops if you have to, but I wouldn't necessarily rely on it for anti-fighter defense. We could also sort of be defending the bomber using our ground troops with the assault veterans. They're not particularly great against fighters, but they'll do something. Gonna demonstrate the efficacy against ground targets here as well. Drop some bombs on this guy, and down his tank goes. See, we've just parked the main infantry force down in a corner where they aren't going to get destroyed by tank fire, which seems to be the best way to preserve our technique score on this level, if nothing else. And with that, down goes tower number 3.
Congratulations, Commander! You've reduced the Kaiser's primary neurosite extraction facility to rubble and ruin. But we couldn't have done it without Gorgi. Better contact Marshal Nova and let him know his father has returned.
Gorgi, do you copy? Yes, Nova. I have returned. And victory is my traveling companion. Father. Let go of me! Father! Who is this? What have you done with the Tsar?
I let him go. Kaiser Vlad sends his regards.
Son, you must understand. I acted in the best interests of the Tundran Empire. I know, Father.
So with that, if we'd lost one less gunship, we would have got an S rank, but an A rank is perfectly acceptable to me. And let us see what happens next. I think we are done with the Dune Sea for now, so we might be moving on to a rather interesting new location. Yep, we're island hopping over to the Coral Atoll for what we're calling X-Day.
Colonel, what news?
We sent an expeditionary force to meet with Empress Lako of the Solar Empire. However, it seems that they were intercepted by the Xylvanians.
And so the curtain rises on yet another theater of war. What now?
We engage the enemy. If we are to have peace, we must fight for it.
It pleases me when you are assertive, Colonel Austin.
Greetings, Commander, and welcome to the Coral Atolls. This is Beachy Point Island. We are here to put a stop to Kaiser Vlad's invasion of the Solar Empire. The survivors of the Frontier's Expeditionary Force are also waiting to be rescued.
So we're doing D-Day, basically, except it's in the Pacific rather than Europe.
Well fortified.
So our first priority is definitely going to be taking out the artillery that's bombarding us.
Relentless force will win this day.
You can end up losing this mission very early on, as I recall, if you just manage to get unlucky with the artillery. But a few mortar rounds should make quick work of these guys and let us through the... taking a little bit of fire here, but most of their infantry are now down, so we can break our way through here and start bombarding that artillery with our mortars. Right, so in you go, tanks. You can break through the barbed wire as well. We'll start scattering these guys with our mortars, so they can't destroy our tanks as easily as they'd like. A few mortars on the artillery unit should take them down as well. Okay, so that's the main obstacle to our advance taken out. We've managed to lose a tank in the process, but I think we're relatively safe otherwise. Okay, so some machine gun towers here. The mortars are going to make a quick job of them. And on that one as well. Oh, there's another defense tower here. Quick blast of mortars towards them. Try and keep this guy alive at least for a little while. Oh, okay, taking some fire to the acid gas guys here. Oh, actually taking rather a lot of hits. Need to be a bit more careful about preserving our infantry. Right, so that guy's down. Keeps our assault veterans safe, and now the flag is going up at the helipad.
Now raise the frontier flag.
Yeah, we're on it. And here we go.
That is ours. I can now send in reinforcements.
Ooh, so we took some bad infantry damage there. Not our best showing.
Our next objective is to assault and capture Vlad's fortress. Head for the Gold Star.
Well, I'm going to head up and capture the Silver Star first, because that usually means...
Vlad has a strato destroyer circling overhead.
Yeah, that usually means some kind of bonus for us.
Missile vets are amongst the survivors of the expeditionary force. They are being held in a POW camp marked by the Silver Star.
Ah, yes, there we are. Right, so assault veteran for me, because they're by far the easiest to use. Mortars and the light tank can go up against their tank, and the assault veterans will take care of the infantry. At least they will in theory. Machine gun tower up there, but we can take that out from some range using the assault veteran, because these guys are overpowered. And there he goes. Keeping our guys nicely out of harm's way. We've also got a bit of a reinforcement on our infantry stuff more generally, so that's nice. Looks like they've got some mortar veterans of their own in there, so we'll have to quickly run around the side and, yeah, take these guys out. Their guys are called grenade troopers. There's no actual difference, it's just for local colour that they've decided to give them a different name. So they're down. And we get ourselves some missile troops. Take these guys out. And now we're ready to assault the main defense point. Yeah, I think we've now shown off every ground unit in the game. Except one that will come up later. Forget I mentioned that. But I think my favourite of the infantry units, at least, is the assault veteran by far. They're just very powerful and versatile in a way that the others all have kind of limitations to stop them being useful in specific circumstances. You know, you can destroy tanks, you can destroy infantry, you can shoot at aircraft with these guys. They're just all-round useful. Okay, so we got the first of the fortress garrison coming out to meet us. If we can draw them out of the defensive positions, that's probably to our benefit. Starting to lay some fire down on this light tank, so that'll be gone fairly soon. That's gone, so now we'll take out its twin. Nearly knocking it over with the volume of fire we're throwing on it. Very nice. And those machine gun towers will have to start going down as well. But we can make short work of them. What's a strato destroyer, you ask? Well, we'll find out soon. Okay, so apart from these rifle guys over here, who will just run down quickly. Right, so with them down, we've got more targets to go and take out. Here come the gunships, so we'll start committing those missile guys, and we can start throwing a bit of fire up there with our assault veterans as well. There are 4 of them, so we've got to be a bit careful. Yeah, if I go over to one of the missile veterans, probably our best chance. Oh, we're losing those guys very quickly. That's a bit of a risk. Right, one gunship down. Oh, God, they're massacring us. Okay, we got a bit clustered there. That was my mistake, but looks like we're in a bit of a state with regards to our anti-aircraft fire. Still, that should be resolved momentarily once we've freed these guys. because we now have some fighters on our side, which is going to be excellent in defending ourselves from the air. Not before time, because we've nearly run out of troops. Yeah, there we go. So easily destroy those gunships. Unfortunately, the rest of our force is basically dead. So you can sort of fire missiles at the ground, but they don't really work very well. Yeah. Yep, there he is. Come on, lads. So these guys are sort of combination fighter bombers, and they're very, very powerful. So you want to get behind them, basically, with your fighters, and now you've got the best possible defense against them. So if you can, yeah, if you can get in behind them, they're not too bad. There you go. I think we got some gunships behind us as well, yeah. So we'll take those out. Those are very easy. So after a bit of a skirmish with the controls, rather than with our actual aircraft, we can start destroying those gunships, and we'll finish the mission. And down it goes. So we're going to get a terrible technique score on this level because we've managed to lose half of our infantry. Well, nearly all our infantry. But we have at least succeeded in that. So unless you were holding out for me if you were doing an all S rank run, I think you're going to be relatively pleased with that. Yep, so a C there, which I think might be our worst score so far, largely driven by that terrible technique score. I'm surprised we got 48%, to be honest, given that we lost 90% of our troops. But with that, I think we're going to have to leave this episode off here. I'm sorry it's such a short one. It's been a crazy day, but I thought I wanted to get some Battalion Wars out to show you, and I thought better a short episode than a delayed longer episode. But next time, we'll be going on to Herman's Heroes. Let's have a little preview of that. Yeah, we are going to be... we're going to get some Solar Empire troops. We're going to meet a new faction, so that will be something to look forward to next week. Until then, I'll be bringing out a special episode on Friday, and Resident Evil 4 will be resuming on Saturday. We also finished off Warrior World last Sunday, so if you want to go back and watch that series, that's all now online, and you can get that on my channel. So if you want to help me keep growing, feel free to subscribe. I'm also on Patreon at patreon.com/digitalwilds, and I will see you next time. Thanks very much.